Hi, Katelyn. Welcome to your intuitive flower reading. Now, we did your flower, you drew your flower, you painted your flower a few weeks ago. I do apologize for the lateness of this, but it has been a little bit crazy. But anyway, what I want to do is go through it again with you. And this time, hang on, let me see if I can get this right. Add it to the stream. Yeah, there we go. And we'll just walk through it a little bit with you. So this is your financial flower. And I remember watching you do this. What I found really interesting is that you actually sketched it out to start with and then started to color it in or paint it in. So what that tells me to start with is that you like to have things organized. You like to plan them. You like to have some sort of a structure to them before you head into it straight away. So planning for you is really, really important. And this is a financial goal as well. So that's even more important. And you need to start planning very soon. And we look at the different areas in this, and we've talked about the stem and the journey for your financial planning, but I have a little bit more time now to go into it a little bit deeper. So overall, when we look at the image to start with, gosh, I'm saying that a lot, aren't I? The portrait format suggests that it's very, very personal to you. It's very targeted, and it's of a positive nature. So you may have money already and you may be doing okay now, but you're looking at going towards the future and you want to make sure that's pretty secure. You want to put things in place to achieve the right finances that you're hoping for. Now, when we look at your flower image, and sorry, I've got it across here. I might put it in front of me. When we look at your flower image, what we can see is this winding stem. And with this winding stem, when we look at the path or the journey that you've got to take to get there, it is suggesting it's not a short-term goal. It's not a short-term situation. It's going to be long. It's going to be very long and winding. And I mean, to be honest, most financial goals are like that. It's not very often that you're given an inheritance, or if you're born into wealthy people, you've still got to learn that understanding of what finances are about and how you can control them and how you deal with them and how you access them. So you've got this long winding journey to do that. And on that journey, you've got a few helpers and you've got a few decisions to make. When we look at this bottom one here, it suggests to me that it's actually something in the front that comes out past. So you're going to learn about this and get this understanding early in the journey, and it's sort of happening now, but you're not going to make it, it's not going to come into fruition properly until a bit later on down the track. And then you're going to go, oh, that's what they meant by that. That's what I need to do. Now, I would almost see this image, or this guide, this leaf guide, as it could be a book. It could be something towards that effect that you're reading, that you get a deeper understanding of. And green in America is very much to deal with money. It's very much that way. I tend to look at green as more of a healing aspect, but in America, it's definitely the greenback is the dollar. So green can be financial, but it could also be healing. I do see this as a bit of a healing thing. So I would suggest that it's probably a bit of a learning curve. But because you've got two journeys there, you may go off on one sort of a tangent and then get that understanding, well, okay, maybe I shouldn't have gone there. It could have been like me when I went into my cryptocurrency. I went into it at its peak, and of course it's all dropped. So it's been a really good learning curve for me. And one of the things I did learn about cryptocurrency is that you never go into anything like that unless you're prepared to lose it. Now, I wasn't prepared to lose it, but I could afford to lose some. And I'm just going to sit there and hold on to that. And that will be my understanding and my learning. And hopefully that'll come good as we go. But you've got this strong learning down here. You've got a decision down here to make about your finances. And this is going to be the guide and the learning. So I see that guide as that learning, that understanding, that aha moment that you get. But what's really good is that even though you might go off on this little bit of a tangent, you're going to follow your main path up. You're going to follow it along quite readily. Now, you're going to be tempted again. Now, because you're going to have this guide, you're going to have this support, you can have this understanding from someone, but it could make you just go off on a little bit of the wrong way, but you don't go too far. So if this was a bigger learning curve, this is a small one. And there is a guide with it as well. So what we would see in that is like you're going to head off in this little bit of a direction, and then you're going to get the support, the guidance you need to go, okay, that's probably not where I need to go, and you'll head off again. Third time lucky, you'll start to make another decision. You'll start to head off and then go, no, I don't need the guidance now. I don't need to get that understanding. I know where I'm going, and you'll keep on going. So you'll get a really, really good understanding of your path and your direction there. One of the things I'd love to really let you know is when you're starting off with your financial planning, I've recommended this book before. I've used it myself, and it's a terrific book. It is called The Barefoot Investor. Now, you may already have that. You may already know of that. But The Barefoot Investor is a really good way for somebody at your age to really start learning and getting a really concrete understanding of it. Now, I read it not so long ago, probably 10, 15 years ago. Maybe that was the second time I read it. But I read it quite a bit. But there was still things in there that helped me or gave me another outlook, another way of looking at it. I've always done some of the things that were in there. I've always managed my money that way. But there was a few other bits and pieces in there that were interesting to look at. And one of the biggest things we need to be aware of with our financials is really it's the risk element that we're prepared to put into. So again, when I go back to my cryptocurrency, when I was doing my cryptocurrency, it was that risk element I was prepared to put in. And that's why they say if you're only put in what you're prepared to lose. So with some of these suggestions, just be prepared to put in only what you're prepared to lose. And the whole idea is you don't lose it. But if you do it in the right manner, you don't go backwards either. Okay, so there is some areas where people have borrowed money to get into shares or to get into crypto. That's when you're having problems, because when they do drop, you still got to pay that money back. So I would suggest you don't do that. But have a look at the Barefoot Investor. That's really interesting to see. So as we start off really dark here, there is a lot of darker learnings here. And as we go up lighter, the learnings don't get so hard and they don't get so technical. You have got a fine line to follow as far as your financial path is concerned, which I would imagine it's not, you don't have a lot of choices with your finance. Basically, you've got to bring money in and you try not to overspend, or you save up so you can do a bit of spending. So there's not a lot of chances that you can have with that, a lot of changes that you can have with that. So it is quite a fine line, because you need money and you want money, and it's a fine line. You know what I mean, Katelyn. Anyway, make sure so to start with, make sure you got your planning. And with your planning, I would suggest a book like The Barefoot Investor. We know you're going to have a long journey. You may sort of go off a little bit tangent, but you're going to be supported and someone's going to be there to help you, and you'll get that learning from it. You'll go off again. You'll have another choice here. It might be another little investment, a little test, or something else we're looking forward to. But again, you'll have guidance there, a lot more support in that guidance there, and it will send you off again. Third time, you've got the understanding of it. It's almost like the third time comes up, it's like, oh, I've already done it that way, and I've already done it that way. I know what I need to do or not do this time, and you just keep on going. That's your path of your journey. When we get into the actual flower yourself, now I really remember watching you do this, because you actually had a center in the flower. There was an actual round center in there. You had a heart in that. Isn't it funny how you have now colored it in and there is no heart in your center there? Oh, look, I didn't know I could do that. Woohoo. There's no heart in your center there, right? So when we go, there's no heart in there. Whereas before, when you first drew it, it's logical for a flower to have that center. So you drew the center. And even if the flower isn't logical, you knew that there had to be a heart center in there. And yet when you colored it in, you took out that heart center. Now, when I look at the heart center, I go, it's okay. You don't need to have a heart center for a financial goal. You don't need to have all that passion and that drive and that go-getter attitude for a financial goal. You have to be planning. You have to be succinct. You have to be analytical. It has to be clear and clean. It doesn't have to be emotionally involved in that heart center. Now, That is because I think I explained to you when we were doing this workshop, that is because with a financial goal, you don't really want money. You want the things that money can buy you. You want the things that money can provide. So if I said to you, I'll give you $1 million, but you're not allowed to spend it, money means nothing. So it's what that money, that energy exchange can do for you. And again, you do not have to have passion to be able to do that. You need to be thinking, you need to be smart, you need to be clever. That is how you will reach your financial goal. So we come to your petals, the petals of attraction. Now we look at these petals, and the whole flower itself is of circular shape. So you are more of a nurturing sort of an aspect, more of a feminine side to it. So it's not like you want to go out and do the hard sell. You're quite happy to do things that suit you in a feminine way, but you're not prepared to go and do that hard sell, the door knock, hard sales type thing. You're not prepared to do that side to it, but you are prepared to put in the time and effort. And one of the things I did notice about your flowers is how symmetrical that they are. So you've got these 4 at the top and these 4 at the bottom. Very, very symmetrical, very exact. And I feel that that's how you need to be. That's the attraction you need to have when you want to collect, or like attracts like. So we got to put it out there to bring it back in. When we want to bring that back in, you need to be very analytical, very particular, very structured, and very much in shape. And that's what this flower image is telling us all about. It's about how to be very, very particular and go down to the details. The shading, look at the shading in the flowers. You've got this detail coming through, even in the leaf. You've got so much detail coming through. And that is who you are, and that is how you're going to get through and receive your financial goals that you're looking for. And it is not from winning Tatslotto. You're not going to get it that way. That is not how you are. That's not who you are. You are more analytical, and you need to see the numbers. You need to get that structure. You need to have that understanding. If I'm going to put this money in, what am I going to get, and what's the guarantee for it, and what is the risk behind it? And you'll get all that information as you go along. But I can see that you'll just sort of feel like you're getting nowhere. See how the stem tapers off? Like you feel like you're getting nowhere. And then all of a sudden, it will actually come into bloom. It will really start to come through for you. So we look at orange, and really that's definitely orange. It's a deeper orange and a lighter orange. Look, and I do see orange as spiritual journey, which is how I always see it, which is why I gave you those little cards. I should have one here. That's why I showed you those little cards. Why I like you to pick your colours, because I tend to go back to the same ones all the time. And in this one, orange, definitely ambition, and I would see it as curiosity. Okay. Ambition and curiosity. I think your financial goals are quite curious to you. I think you're going to want to try and test a few of the theories, which is probably why you've got these stems, the stem doing what it's doing, with all the choices that you have to move away. I think you've got a lot of it is to do with your risk factor and your curiosity. So with a risk factor, you can be curious about something, but it just makes sure it's in line with your risk factor. So you could be really, really curious and you're prepared to put that in, or you could be really, really curious but not prepared to put that in. If they don't line up, don't do it. Okay, make sure everything sort of lines up with you and you get that really clear understanding of it. You really do. The shapes of the petals themselves are elongated, but they're not really long, but they've got a point on them. They probably are more of a masculine. This one's sort of looking a bit more feminine, but probably more of a masculine. But I look at these here and the way you've drawn them too, they do come to a point. So the attraction, it needs to be on point. Like if you're looking at making investment or you're looking at your financial goal, it's got to be on point. If you want a lot of money, make sure it's on point. Make sure it is how you want to get that money or how you want to make that money. Okay, because we can make a lot of money in ways that are not true to who we are. Okay, we can do that. That's not hard to do if you can handle it emotionally. It's not hard to do. You can make a lot of money in a lot of ways, but yours needs to be on point. Okay, so it needs to be, when I say on point, it needs to be, how can I explain this? You probably already know what I'm talking about anyway. It just needs to resonate with you. Okay, it really needs to resonate you. This is what you're attracting. And when I look at what you're attracting, and we sort of see this end here quite round, often you'll see petals the opposite way around, and they're in the center there like that. The center's there and they'll go out. Yours is this way. So what we see with the petals is, if you can imagine a bug coming in to pollinate, right? And that's what you're attracting. You want pollination. You want to attract. They've got a finer area to land. So if you want to attract them, there's that finer area to land before they come towards the center, before they come towards the heart. So when I look at that, to me, I go, okay, they've got to be really, that's got to be on point. It's only got that little point to land in. And then if it's right, we can open up and accept it. Okay. So if the fly lands here, it's got a finer point to land on before we open up and accept it. Okay. So that's that attraction side of it. Like I said, the heart center is not there. So we don't need to talk about the heart center. And the background is plain. So we've got that. Where the flower image is situated, the flower itself is quite, the flower itself is high. It's not centered. The plant itself is centered. Okay, so the plant itself is centered. It's not too far in the future, but it has got a long stem to get to it. So it is quite higher up. So your goal you're looking at is quite lofty, but it's not over the top. It's really not over the top. And it's not, even though you've got a lot of detail, there's detail, but it's not busy. So it's quite simplistic in its design and its style, but detailed as we go deeper into it. And if you think about that as far as your finances go, you want something that's simple and easy, but when you go into the details, you can get a lot more of it. For example, if you were, say, looking at purchasing a house or a unit or something to that effect. So the idea of it is quite simple. I want to purchase a house. That's fine. If I'm going to rent it out, the rent's got to cover the mortgage, rah, rah, rah. So, you can get that sort of simplistic. But when you sort of start to go down to the details and you say, well, hang on, I've got to cover body corp and I've got to cover insurances and I've got to cover rates and I've got to cover electricity and I've got to cover this and I've got to cover that. You start to get into that bigger detail, that was sort of the deeper detail. That's how I see this. That's how I see your finances. Something that appears to be simplistic. You can see the figures, but when you start to get a little bit deeper, no, not when, please go a lot deeper. Go a lot deeper and get all that information, because once you've got all that, you'll actually see the big picture a lot easier. So that is your financial flower. May I suggest again to get, if you haven't already got it, the Barefoot Investor. It is such a great and solid way to start, especially for people that are just starting their financial journeys. So that is yours, Katelyn. I hope you enjoyed that. I will turn this one off. Where am I up to? Oh, nearly 20 minutes. So I'll turn this one off and I will start another one. Okay. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now. Whoops, where's the stop button?